Did you know that Google personalizes many searches by city, and Also Asked is the only tool to access live People Also Asked data at city level? Try for free at alsoasked.com.
Tired of SEO guesswork? Quadra's AI agent goes deeper to uncover high-impact optimizations and completes hours of SEO in minutes. Get started now.
I was going to say that SEO with Fat Joe is as peaceful as this, but then the birds are all having fights.
Good morning, everyone. Just as Nick said, one of Google's biggest struggles is actually to crawl the web. We know that's their biggest cost, and how can we as SEOs impact that aspect? That is one of the things that is included in the momentum concept. It's about how we are utilizing publishing and updating frequency to impact SEO. So why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because I believe in the topical authority aspect of SEO. Because if you reach that kind of step into the topical authority by utilizing comprehensiveness, depth, broad, all those aspects, you can do fantastic results. But the most underrated part of the topical authority is, according to me, the momentum. And that is why I decided to talk about momentum here today. Because people know we need to have vastness, we need to have depth in our content. But people misses the aspect of momentum. And this is based on a fantastic work initially done by Corey, and I think we should give credit to the people that really inspires you. And he has inspired me and all of the people in the holistic SEO community, like Germans and a lot of people speaking on different stages. And when I started implementing the topical authority framework and utilizing momentum as a big part of it, I started realizing some fantastic results, and that is what I'm speaking about today. Because momentum is about how you're utilizing your publishing and your updating frequency to beat a competitor. Because we know that Google struggles to crawl everything, as we said. They struggle to index everything. So how can we utilize that to actually deliver results for our clients or our own sites? Because if we're utilizing a non-rhythmic publishing calendar and always showing Google that we're delivering quality, they will come back at a higher pace because we're showing Google that we are better than our competitors at delivering value for them. All of this is always based on a lot of patents. I think this patent is the most interesting one because it really explains how they are relating to frequency and how they're using frequency scores to understand different segments, different search behaviors, and all of that. So if you're into patents, I would really recommend this and a lot of other patents related to this momentum aspect. But when you're working with momentum, I'm going to try to make it simple for everyone because we should all be able to take something with us from this session today and start utilizing it tomorrow. Because when you're utilizing momentum, you want to steal the attention from Google. And by doing that, you need to start publishing in a non-rhythmic way, be patternless, but at the same time show Google that you have valuable content. So if you're looking at this, we start by publishing 3, then we're step by step moving like 1, 2, 3. So we should never publish everything at 10 a.m. Tuesday morning because Google is smart. They know that they can go back to the site and actually only crawl us at that time when we're publishing. So try to be as non-rhythmic as possible. And what do you want to achieve with this? You want to achieve a state where you go into a positive ranking state. You want to be able to steal Google's attention in terms of crawling, and by doing that, when you steal the attention, you also get the positive ranking state if you deliver value for them. We can't utilize momentum without quality and quality of content. But when you do that, it's very important to have in mind. Most of us say that investing in this content is a valuable long-term strategy. But what people miss sometimes is that if you don't keep the momentum and use continuity, like this case, they started planning a migration. They stopped publishing, they stopped updating, because they were aiming to go into migration step around here. What do you think happened? Yeah, they lost the momentum. So without momentum here, they actually dropped the rankings and impressions. And it's so interesting case where you can then regain it and starting publishing again, and we got back into the positive ranking state. So we need to have in mind, we can't just publish content and leave it there. We need to think about how can we add value all the time. And thinking about this, you should aim to update everything at least every 6 months, because then you can build a strategy for momentum and actually always be up to date in your content. And I really like the explanation of momentum as a league system. We're in the UK, I'm looking at the Premier League. We all want to play in Premier League. But when we're starting our sites, we are here down in the national leagues. So we need to step by step take us up in the league system. And momentum works like this, that when you beat one competitor, you're taking their position. And that's why it's pretty harsh. You should go for one competitor and be able to step by step move up in the league system until you reach the Premier League that you want to play in. Because when you are in the Premier League, Google will crawl you a lot more, they will trust you, and they will show you for more queries, because Google don't want to show 100,000 sites. When they trust a site, they want to deliver it in the search result as much as possible. And if you are always the most updated source, of course, why shouldn't they rely on you? So how do you achieve this? It's about proving to Google that it's worth spending time and that you always have fresh data and information. And as we say, don't forget about accuracy, because if you miss on accuracy, and accuracy is something that's always changing, that's also an aspect that is very sensitive in the topical authority aspect, but impacts your momentum. And you can drop your momentum by missing the accuracy as well. So let's take this as practical as we can, that everyone can bring home. Somehow, I've worked in the health industry a bit towards the US, and I've played around and tried to compete with Webline, Mayo Clinic, and all of those sites. So I took a segment within that just for everyone that here that can relate to it. So we're talking about blood glucose here, or blood sugar. But try to approach it from a smaller topic than you think at first, because you can't beat your large competitors at full scale. So approach momentum from one smaller topic. That's the easiest way to gain traction, because Google does this as topic-based, because they will crawl you more within a single topic if you're an authority within that topic. So look at it from a topic or an entity structure and feel like, okay, I'm selling something related to blood sugar, maybe a diabetes tool or something like that. Then my central entity would be blood sugar here as one example for a content network. Then I want to check how much do my competitor have indexed about blood sugar. And of course we can scrape, we can build a lot of complex things, but to make it possible for everyone to just try to understand this, utilize Google. Check how many times do they mention blood sugar, and try to keep it simple. Like at first, yeah, it's 2,200 results related to that. Like in topical coverage, if we're starting off a new site, we can't deliver 2,000 pages at quality. So we know that this is going to be a challenge, but momentum is about publishing in a certain time, as I said, or updating in a certain time. So if we take it down to past year, they published 551 pages related to this topic. But if we take it down even more, past month, it's 2 results. So by starting to understand their publishing schedules, to start to understand like how they're utilizing their site, what kind of aspects, how are they working with publishing strategies, you can find competitors that is staling in their publishing, that is staling in some aspects, and by that actually find a competitor that you can beat. But what are we missing? Because we're talking a lot about publishing. And publishing has the problem that it's just the first time that we let something out into the internet. But of course, it's about updating as well, because in essence, publishing and updating is extremely related to each other, because we can impact Google to prove that we have new, fresh information, no matter if it's updating or publishing. So, of course, like all of us that is technical, we can scrape these dates and start to understand if it's published on the site. How often do they update? Trying to build models for how often our competitors are updating certain pages, money pages versus information pages versus news, etc., and start to build the kind of information, well, like how they're working with the site, both in the publishing and updating structures. And to do that, yeah, of course, if it's on the site, it's super easy. But we can also, it's easy to forget if they're actually using last mod. Why not utilize that? It's easier to crawl, it's easier to scrape and whatever. And then we can build the structure. As long as we know which URLs they're actually having within that segment, it's pretty easy to utilize. And the third thing we can really use is date modified as well. If they're utilizing it in the right way, it's easy to catch when they're modifying it. And it's also pretty interesting to see, like, in terms of like CTRs. So there's been a lot of studies lately, like Google is normally still using the date publish in the SERPs, and that aspect could impact CTRs, which in the end could impact the momentum in one way, because like sites not getting the CTRs that is expected, even though they are updating the content, could be something to look out for as well. But how do we choose this competitor that we're going to approach? For me, it's normally to try to find a sweet spot. And the sweet spot is a sector within the competitor that they are staling content-wise on. Sometimes it's pretty common that people are building topical coverage. They're covering a topic, and then they just leave it there, and they're never updating it. And can you find those kind of situations, a really important topic for you, and you're starting publishing first and keeping the updating frequency? You can pretty fast actually reach a positive momentum in that aspect and positive ranking state and gain a lot of traffic. Because in the end, like, we're utilizing a part of a framework to be able to steal the attention from Google, and by doing that, the competitor is losing it, because we know that when we're working with Google, it's always a game of taking someone's position, taking someone's traffic, and that is what we try to do here with this aspect. So when I'm looking at it, I normally just create a table somehow. How many articles are they creating? How many are they updating? What kind of resources do we have? Like, what kind of possibilities? But just as Nick said, like, we know it's our clients as a consultant or in-house, like, what are we capable to do? And try to find a competitor that you feel that we can beat these ones in terms of publishing within a certain topic. We can beat them in terms of updating. And when you do that, just go for that one. Don't care about everyone else. Like, attack one competitor and steal their momentum. That's what we're going for. So go for the sweet spot, and by doing that, you will generate fantastic results, I promise you. So, and have in mind also that when you're building by momentum and reaching a topical authority state by doing that and delivering content, you're in a dream position, because before in my career, you have always been scared when there's core update. When you're working with this kind of frameworks, you're like laughing every time there's core update, because if you put the work in and really delivered to Google, you know that you're expecting to take a big leap every core update. And everyone know that last year was a pretty funny situation where they run core updates back to back within 3 weeks or something like that. And when you do these kind of things and you see like jump after jump, you know that you have succeeded. And it's at core updates that you really know that you have succeeded with momentum, but also your topical authority aspects of the strategy. So what can you do today? I just want to remind you, like, choose one topic, do real competitor research in terms of publishing on that topic, and choose one competitor to beat. Then you're analyzing the publishing patterns, and if you can do it dynamically, it's fantastic. If you are more of a content heavy person, like, utilize Google, as I said, like, keep it simple, as you can still do it, but if you are more technical, build up a scrape strategy, do all of these things dynamically so you can follow it time after time, that you always have the freshest data. And if you are in very competitive segments, the momentum aspects of updating can be multiple times a day. You want to really, really push it. If you are in other segments that is more stale, it works as well. I even like to utilize historic aspects as kind of a possibility that you can utilize momentum for, because there is always new studies, there is always new research that you can update your content with. People think that, oh, it's a historic term, it's the same year that that person is born or death or whatever, but there will always be new research connected to that you can utilize and update your content with, and be able to create a publishing or updating frequency that relates to that. And it's not more complex than actually scheduling a higher publishing and updating frequency than your competitor. But have in mind here that even though they had a certain publishing or updating frequency when you did the first research, if they notice that you are increasing yours, they will do the same. So that is why I'm saying in the most competitive segments, this is a race. And that is when we are in today's like AI environment with a lot of data, you can understand that people are truly utilizing this as building like RAG database or like vectors, etc., and pushing the limits on how often you can update, how often you can get Google's attention, and doing it dynamically. Because updating doesn't always in all segments need to be in terms of manual content. Of course, everything on our sites or on pages is something that relates to Google. So for me, working in e-com, it's truly about product listings, season-based, utilizing different types of sorting, ordering, etc., that you can do dynamically at scale. And then you can impact the updating frequency like full scale by utilizing templates, by utilizing other kind of things. So in other segments, it's a lot about manual content. So we need to think about it in different aspects dependent on where we are working today. And most people, when they're starting to increase the publishing frequency, lowers the content quality, unfortunately. So even though we want to push momentum, if we're pushing momentum and publishing and updating frequency, but lowers our quality, we will lose in the end. We will drop our positive momentum. So you need to stay with accuracy. You need to be comprehensive, and you need to deliver something that is more valuable than is out there today. Because we know that Google can't even index far away from everything today. We see people getting a lot of pages de-indexed right now. So if we're starting to push momentum and increasing the crawlings on our sites with low quality, in the end it will impact negatively. But if we do it in a way where we are actually increasing the quality, we will succeed. We will deliver a lot of value to the sites that we're working with. So that's everything from me. Thank you. And if you want to talk about this or anything related to topical authority, I'm here the full day. So thank you.